It's Press Pass with Jack Ebling, Mid-Michigan's spirited sports debate. Now let's get talking sports. Here's Jack.
Great evening, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and welcome to a Hoops, Pucks, and Pigskin edition of Press Pass on Fox 47. Michigan State basketball couldn't have had a much better week, with Tom Izzo's team beating 14th-ranked Arkansas Saturday night at Breslin Center after getting some great recruiting news. A few hours earlier, Adam Nightingale's number one ranked hockey team polished off number 3 Penn State in a series sweep at Munn Ice Arena, outscoring the Nittany Lions 7-1. In college football, with MSU and Michigan both on bye weeks, Indiana remained unbeaten with as good a game-winning drive as you will ever see. And Oregon used a massive special teams miscue for a gutty win at Iowa. In pro football, the Detroit Lions cruised past Washington, scoring on their first 8 possessions, something they only wish they could have done last January in Ford Field. Here to talk about all that and more is Team 632, two guys who know the Big Ten in very different ways. Rico Beard, longtime Detroit radio and TV personality, Spartan insider, and co-host of the Valenti Show with Rico on 97.1 The Ticket. Rico, that was a wild scene last night at Breslin.
You know, Jack, it was a very wild scene, but I think it was a fitting scene because we've seen so many times Michigan State going up against these top teams and coming with an L to get the win at home in front of that crowd. And that was a loud crowd from what you can hear. I went back and watched the game. That crowd showed up.
Also back by popular demand, Neil Koepke, longtime State of Michigan sports writer, former Ohio State goaltender, and my human hockey website. Big weekend of Big Ten hockey, Neil.
It sure was, Jack and Rico. I'll tell you what, the atmosphere at Munn was outstanding, and I guess it sort of carried right over to Breslin and formed another great atmosphere there too. But a big weekend for both hockey and basketball.
I'm still trying to figure out how the Red Wings lost that game today with that massive edge in shots on goal. We'll be right back. We'll start with basketball. The Spartans and the Hogs up next. Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Going Green segment, brought to you by Graf Chevrolet and Graf Nissan on West Grand River in Okemos. With 108 years in the automobile business, they'll take great care of you, as they have on all 8 of my leases and purchases. For new or used vehicles or great service, go green, go Graf.
To the country last year, and Tom Izzo feels like that should be the case again this season.
Watch out for Scott coming off the curl. Cooper! They helped out wide, the middle wide open. Cooper does a great job getting available.
Cooper back to him. Down the lane. What a drop off for Ward!
It wasn't pretty, but effective. Cooper stuck a fork in it.
How about Tom Izzo?
He's acting like he's 30 again. Stuck.
Passes in, ball game over. Michigan State wins it.
What a gutsy performance. We're leaving everything out there, shorthanded in the sense of not having three-point shooters to dominate. And conversely, Arkansas is scary and scary good.
Yeah, they're going to win a lot of games this year, but tonight it's Michigan State.
There you see Michigan State last night, 69-66 win. Rico, how did the Spartans surge in the second half to beat John Calipari's team, despite being outscored beyond the arc 21-3?
Jack, I think it was rebounding, and more so importantly, it was the offensive rebounds that Michigan State got in the second, third, and fourth chance points, getting the key rebounds, resetting the offense, bleeding that clock out. Yeah. And before you know it, they hit it just enough shots to win the game.
Yeah. 19 offensive rebounds, and Arkansas only got 20 of Michigan State's misses, so nearly 50% came back to the shooter. Rico, late in the game, you said you thought Michigan State would win, and there was a TV anchor sitting to your left who didn't agree with you. What told you it was Michigan State's night?
Jack, you know what? Sometimes the moment is just kind of too big, and Michigan State's freshmen, their moment was there, and you saw it for Arkansas with Acuff, and then I forgot the other freshman, but taking the hero shots at the game inside of that Raucous arena. It was just, you had that feeling that somehow, some way, somebody was going to hit the shot to get Michigan State over.
Guys, it was as electric as the Board of Water and Light and Consumers Energy combined in Breslin Center. And John Calipari said after being there for the first time, he now knows why Tom Izzo has stayed in East Lansing. Let's hear what Izzo had to say.
November 8th. That was a hell of a game for November 8th, you know. This is why it's hard to go on the road and play these kind of games, because the advantage goes to the home team. It makes you realize how important our fans were. I thought they were phenomenal all night. It just makes a difference. I mean, they hung right in there, and I'm appreciative of that.
Rico, how do you explain Monday's season opener against Colgate? A very well-coached team. Gave Michigan State all it wanted and a little bit more.
Well, Jack, I think it was one of those, look, you don't want to look ahead, but I think Michigan State kind of looked ahead and said, okay, we can beat Colgate. Let's work on our fundamentals and not necessarily let's go out there and put the hammer to the nail. You saw that more last night against the Arkansas Razorbacks. But for Colgate, it was just, let's find ourselves. Let's try to find a lineup. And there was a lot of experimenting going on in that game.
Yeah. Rico, can you briefly describe the feeling when Colgate came back and tied it in the second half, and a lot of people saw maybe a brush with an upset, and it reminded some people of a game with James Madison 2 years ago?
Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of people felt that James Madison, where it was like, wait a minute. Are they really about to lose this thing? And that's when you're like, okay, Tom, let's quit with coming up with the lineups. Let's get the best five out there. Let's put this thing away. You may not win by the point spread, but you know what? You got to win this game. You can't lose, and they didn't.
Rico, when you look at where Michigan State is now, and can you describe what the Spartans have with an incoming player, Josiah Jervis, made a commitment to Michigan State, and now there may be some more good news coming from 7'1.5" center Ethan Taylor. What does that mean?
You know what it means? It means that Tom Izzo is stepping up his recruitment. Tom Izzo sees that, you know what? I want to be one of the big boys. In order to be one of the big boys, you need some of the best players on the team, and you need NBA-type players. He got a taste of that with Jace, and he liked it. And he said, I want more, and I want more. So, yeah, I do expect them to get a commitment from the 7-footer come Ethan Friday. Taylor. Taylor. I expect that to happen, and I look at what Izzo is doing. And, yeah, Jack, and don't forget, national title will be played in Detroit. He would love to be back in Detroit for that next year.
Did that once in 2009, beat Connecticut there, and then lost to a North Carolina juggernaut. Rico, looking at MSU's schedule through the end of the year, the date with Kentucky looming a week from Tuesday in Madison Square Garden, also North Carolina on Thanksgiving, then Duke coming in December. Which games do the Spartans drop before New Year's Day?
Wow. Great question, Jack. I think they could beat North Carolina. Kentucky, that's going to be difficult because this team does not play well at Madison Square Garden, historically speaking. Duke, if the crowd comes the way that they did last night, you'll have a chance with Duke because Duke has young players. Yeah. And they may not have seen a crowd like that because they haven't started ACC action yet.
Rico, what did you learn from Michigan's rout of Oakland? And this is a Golden Grizzlies team that scared Purdue last night.
I didn't learn, well, that Yaxel Luxembourg, I believe his name is.
Yeah, Lindeberg, yeah.
He's really good. He's very good. He is like special good. I understand how Michigan was able to use the NIL to get him to come out of the draft because so long as he stays healthy, Jack, he's everything that they needed last year. He's if you took Wolf and Golden and they had a love child, that's him. he's really good. Can handle the ball. He also can post up. But I didn't learn a lot because Oakland was minus, I think, 2 or 3 of their top players. So it was kind of like, clubbing a baby seal.
And Lindenberg actually didn't play that much in.
We had an injured wrist,
so sat out some of it. Neil, there was plenty of women's action too, and you think the Michigan-Oakland men's score was lopsided. How about this one? The women opening against Mercyhurst with an 86-point pounding.
Yeah, I know. That was amazing. I had to look at that twice, Jack, because I don't think I've ever seen a college basketball game with an 86-point deficit. And I had to check that and ask a couple people, like, why did that happen? How did that happen? What's Mercyhurst? Is they just moving up to Division I or whatever? And then today, Jack, they win by 32 against Eastern.
Yes.
So the points
Today's
are falling
against Eastern Michigan. There you see the score of that one, 92-60. So this team has now scored 217 points in its 2 games this week.
Yeah.
Neil, the Wolverines had a lot of success as well. A lot of people think that they're going to be contending for a Big Ten title. There you see a 60-point win over Canisius. And then today, coming back with a big win over Harvard. How good are the U of M women?
Yeah, they're pretty good too, Jack. It just looks like that this state of basketball between Michigan and Michigan State is about as best as it's ever been competitive at the same time. So it's going to be fun when those 2 teams play here in Ann Arbor.
I don't remember a year where the men and the women of both schools that good. We'll be right back, and we'll talk hockey next here on Press Pass. The Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Lansing's Best segment, brought to you by the Lansing Sports Commission. Bring thousands of athletes and teams to Mid-Michigan for hundreds of tournaments and special events. Hats off to the LSC for showing just what this area can be. Plan on something greater.
He'll go retreating. 16 seconds left. Basco will take it back. Crowd now goes to their feet. They know what their team has just done this weekend and how impressive it is. 2 seconds left, and that's all she wrote. Bring out the brooms here in East Lansing. Spartans sweep the number 3 team in the land and prove to the nation why they belong at number 1.
There you see Charlie Stramel and Porter Martone with the first 2 goals last night. Neil, what did that romp prove to you and to the hockey nation about where Michigan State stands?
Well, they've been number 1 for the last 3 weeks, Jack, and I think this was obviously their best test against a team that only had 1 loss and had a lot of attention, and one of the best players in the country in Gavin McKenna. And this proved that the Spartans are right up there with them, and not only can play with them, but dominate them like they did on Saturday night. The Friday game was a great one, back and forth, but the Saturday game really showed what Michigan State can do when the other team isn't playing at its best, and the Spartans are possessing the puck constantly.
They were doing that, and we especially saw that during that first power play when they had about 6 chances and had the puck for almost the entire 2 minutes. Neil, when did you know that this was going to be such a complete blanking of Penn State, and it was never in doubt?
I probably didn't know, Jack, until the second period when they made it 3-0, because when it's 2-0 still, you're only 1 goal, 2 shots away from being tied. And Penn State has done this frequently this season. Be behind, come back, 2-0 deficit at Ohio State and still win. So they have the firepower to do it. But Michigan State took it away. They got that separation goal at 3-0, and then it was just a matter of time before they got the next one and really sealed it. But yeah, that was a different game on Saturday than it certainly was on Friday.
No question. Friday night's game, 2-1 overtime decision. Guys, let's take a look at a very different game.
Find him in the slot. Shoots. Here's Shouty. Scores! Tiernan Shouty wins it for Michigan State in overtime.
What a great pass, too, to set that up. A lot of patience there. Neil, was Friday's game better for Michigan State in terms of demonstrating what it can do and what it has to do?
Well, it's probably more important because when you get involved in a tight game like that, you got to execute, you got to play, you got to defend, you got to make plays. Where Saturday's game was a little bit looser and you had the things in control. But what I liked about Friday's game is that right back and forth, there must have been, Jack, 5 chances for Michigan State to win it. And then who wins it but Tiernan Shouty, who basically is a fourth-line center. And he, if you look at that play, Jack, that puck when he first got it was below the goal line. And he pulled it back to get a better angle and fired the puck in. And I'm still looking at that replay, and I still can't see how it went in. I see it in the net eventually, but
it's there.
It disappears, and then, boom, they celebrate, and the hero is Tiernan Shouty.
Yeah. Neil, who stood out to you in that game? I guess in both games, you can look at Trey Augustine giving up 1 goal with the shutout there, and he's had a bunch of them this year.
Yeah, he's had some big games, and this is his year to excel. He didn't have what we call a great season last year, I don't think. Very good still, a lot of attention, considered still the best goalie in college hockey. But now he's got to prove it, and he's playing against good teams like Penn State and eventually Michigan, Wisconsin, whatever. So he's got to be there, and he was there this weekend, and he was a star both nights. Maybe not the number 1 star, but he kept them in the game.
Nonetheless, yeah. Neil, what do you make of the Big Ten this weekend? We got a split with Michigan and Wisconsin. And you see the standings there a little different because of the number of games played. Michigan State 2-0, but they have some games to catch up. And there was a wild scene at the end, 122 minutes in penalties in Ann Arbor with 14 seconds to go.
Yeah, there were penalties all over the place in that game. There were scrums all over. It was a nasty, nasty game. And for Michigan, it was a nasty, nasty loss because it was 6-1 after they won on Friday night, 7-4, but now 2 empty net goals. But Wisconsin could have, within a little bit better play in the third period on Friday, had swept that series. Yeah. And I think Michigan is a little bit smacked around a little bit now. And they're going to Penn State next weekend.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Facing a team that was smacked around by the Spartans. So that ought to be a good series to watch.
Neil, what does it say when we look at the rankings that teams in the state of Michigan, who cares about Minnesota and Massachusetts?
Exactly.
Michigan is the center of the U.S. hockey universe.
They sure are. And obviously, Western's the defending champ. You know, state's number 1. Michigan's right there. And it's a lot of fun. That's going to be a good run for both leagues, the Big Ten and the NCHC, with the Michigan schools.
And you know what Michigan State has coming up, and they have a series against Wisconsin coming up in 2 weeks, right?
Right, exactly.
That'll tell us a lot more. A lot of hockey ahead. Can't wait to see it over at Munn Ice Arena. We'll be right back, and we're going to look at college football and Michigan and Michigan State. Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for the big picture, brought to you by Dean Transportation. Dean is hiring caring and dependable people as school bus drivers in many Michigan markets. Be a hero in your community and safely transport children to and from school with Dean. For more information and to apply, visit deantransportation.com/jobs. That's deantransportation.com/jobs.
Jonathan, you fight all the way back, close to 200-yard edge in offense. At one point, you take the lead. But 10 penalties, they had 2. Now in 2 weeks, it's 22 versus 8. You feel like you're your own worst enemy at sometimes with that?
Yeah, it's not helping us. And we actually talked about it even last night on that end, showing some other examples of other people. Again, the goal is not to play penalty-free 0. The goal is to play fast within the whistles, and these guys are. It comes down to a couple techniques, tackling, but 10 is not good enough, and it hurt us today.
November 2023, when you take the job here to now, how would you assess your performance as a head coach?
I mean, look, not good enough. You look at the win-loss record. We're trying to win more than we lose, and we're not doing that.
If you would write a book about the last two seasons, I think Jonathan Smith just gave it a title. Not good enough. You saw him at Huntington Bank Stadium 8 days ago at Minnesota. Rico, how crushing was it for Michigan State to finally play a good game, come back, take the lead, look like they had it, and then give it away?
Jack, they didn't give it away, and I'm normally not that type of guy, but it was kind of stolen from them as well. A couple of questionable calls against Michigan State for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But yeah, you thought that maybe they could go and steal this game against Minnesota, and they didn't. And I'm sorry, but you don't get credit for almost wins.
Yeah. Neil, when a team commits 22 penalties in the span of 2 weeks, and the opponents commit 8 for less than 1/3 the walk-offs, what does that say about the focus of the players and the control of the coaches?
Not good. The focus of the players wasn't good. And Jack, when I'm watching guys line up in the defensive line in the neutral zone and getting penalties, and they're veteran players, or they've been playing in the 7th, 8th, 9th game of the season, that's what's frustrating, I think, for Spartan fans right there. And that just shows you, does this coaching staff have control of the team, basically, and keep those penalties to a minimum?
Rico, does MSU win another football game this season? And if so, which of the 3?
You know what, Jack? Hear me out. I think they win this Saturday.
Ooh, okay.
Because I think Penn State left it all out on the field, and they had their guts ripped out for them. I don't know how you get back off the mat again and get motivated to play a Michigan State team.
Wow. That'll be interesting to see. Neil, looking at Jonathan Smith's career in Corvallis, Oregon, it happened. Some people said it never could, but it took a while. It took till year 4. Unlikely that he would get a year 4 here with record like that. What do you make of this?
Well, it shows that he basically can get a program on course and become good. But how long does it take, and how long are Michigan State fans going to wait? And what's the situation here? Is it possible to do it in the 3rd year? And that doesn't look very good either. So you got to wonder what the future is going to be for Jonathan Smith.
Rico, we have Penn State, Michigan State, Saturday at Spartan Stadium, 3:30 on CBS. Have we ever seen a November primetime game with teams that have an 0-12 combined conference record?
You know what, Jack? That's a great question. I don't think so. And I'm quite sure they thought that, hey, this is going to be good when they set it up. But look, all I got to say is hopefully State fans felt good Saturday, because whether you went to the hockey game or the basketball game, you got to drive home from East Lansing knowing your team won. You didn't experience that in a long time.
Yeah, and I was looking for Jonathan Smith at Breslin Center or Montice Arena.
I
Didn't see him either place.
Yeah.
Neil, Michigan's matchup with Northwestern is the Fox Big Noon kickoff. That also leaves something to be desired. But when you think about it, at least they're going to be in Wrigley Field.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I remember watching Ohio State play Northwestern a couple of years ago, maybe last year at Wrigley, and it was a fun atmosphere, and they did a good job. So that should be fun for those players.
Fun in hockey, too. We will be right back, and we're going to look at Indiana. Big win yesterday.
It's a
Press Pass on Fox 47. It's time for Just North of Amazing, brought to you by One North Kitchen and Bar in Jackson, Lansing, and East Lansing. Welcome to a world of great flavors and a great place to have fun. Do your taste buds a favor and stop at any One North for a wonderful time. They'd love to see your smiling face.
2nd and 17. Mendoza again. Guns out over the middle. 45. Mendoza. Sideline throw. Can Penn State hold on? Mendoza. Over the middle. Oh, he's got it. Good. Mendoza. Becker! And it's a catch! Mendoza in trouble! It's out! Touchdown! Give him the Heisman Trophy now. Unbelievable drive. Unbelievable touchdown pass. Unbelievable reception.
Can someone please check on Gus Johnson and be sure that he is all right? There you saw Fernando Heisman-Dosa with an incredible final drive and two of the best catches you will ever see. Rico, did the Hoosiers prove more in that kind of a comeback before more than 100,000 people in State College than they did in some of these romps they've had this year?
Actually, Jack, no. I mean, to you and I, yeah, it was cool because you saw them come back. Because with a lot of these teams like the Ohio States, they never get punched in the mouth.
Yeah,
Indy got punched in the mouth. They had to come back on the road.
Yeah.
I like this, but they're going to get downgraded when it comes to the college football playoffs because you're not supposed to lose or even to be in a close game with a bad Penn State team.
Neil, did you think we might have the upset of the year when Penn State came all the way back, took the lead? Looked like it was theirs. The crowd was going crazy, preparing to storm the field. They didn't have that crowd storming.
I thought the game was won by the time I left to go to Munn. I thought Indiana's going to win this. And then when I get to Munn, it suddenly turned around. And I'm thinking, we got an upset. And all of a sudden, before you know it, the upset's turned away and Indiana survived. So what a great game for the Big Ten and what a great game for the Hoosiers to come back.
We saw a clip there of a Penn State fan doing a surrender cobra that we last saw 10 years ago in Michigan Stadium. But there was another wild snap, and whoa, Iowa had trouble with it. And that led to an Oregon win, another wild finish in the Big Ten, and one with a stranger start. Let's take a look.
Reese Dakin, who had to handle the high snap, and this one's worse. This one's going all the way back to the goal line. He's trying to kick it out of bounds, and the flag flies in the end zone.
He tried to snap it with his hand, but he missed it, and then he kicked it. But the safety is probably the best thing that could happen to Iowa on this play.
Yep, it would have been a touchdown if he didn't at least get to it.
Well, he got the last one, but he had no chance on this one.
No. Had to chase it down and then try to get his left foot on it.
He's very lucky he got his left foot on it because he missed it and then two swipes at it to get it out.
The snap went 38 yards backward. And you're right, Iowa was fortunate just to have 2 points instead of turning the ball over at the 1 yard line. Rico, how will you remember this game? And again, it was Iowa's to win and couldn't get it done.
It was Iowa's to win, and Jack, is very similar to what happened with Indiana. Oregon got punched in the mouth. Yeah. First time ever, I believe, in Kinnick. You're the historian. You may know this to be true or not.
Yeah.
But Oregon found out what a lot of people found out. It's not easy to win in Kinnick. It was bad, gloomy weather, rainy, but they found a way to get it done. And you felt bad for Iowa because of the two games. I actually thought Iowa was going to win this game.
Yeah. Hey, they almost beat Indiana. Remember, it was 13-13.
Correct.
They were kicking a field goal.
And the game was
with less than 2 minutes to go. Wound up losing that one in Kinnick. Yeah. Neil, what else stood out to you this week in the Big Ten? We look at all the scores.
Well, I think the way that Wisconsin, with their coaching situation up in the air, and they basically decide to keep him, Luke Fickell, and then they go out and beat Washington. So, I was impressed with a team to come together because that team had lost 5 in a row, 6 in a row, and they were going nowhere, and everybody thought the coach would be fired. But instead, they win a game, and the coach is back next year.
They did have a field storming there at Camp Randall. Rico, looking at the Big Ten standings, would you be absolutely stunned if we didn't have number 1 Ohio State and number 2 Indiana for the Big Ten championship in Lucas Oil Stadium?
Yeah, I would, Jack. And I thought we were about to not get that for a second. But, I would be absolutely stunned because I think this is what everybody who follows college football and follows the Big Ten is waiting for the game in Indianapolis, for all the money. Who's going to get that top seed? I want this game because I still think Indiana can beat Ohio State.
Hey, if Michigan beats Ohio State for a 5th straight time,
then fire Ryan Day.
You'd have Indiana and Michigan, and then Ohio State would have to come at the championship another way. Maybe have back-to-back national championships without ever playing in a Big Ten title game. Neil, your Buckeyes are still number one in the poll. You look at this and the AP Top 25. What do you make of it?
Well, they won. They've won every game they put in front of them. They beat Texas, which doesn't look great now, but they've got the big one coming up against Michigan. If they lose that one, that's going to be another one of those things like 5 in a row and come back and go the back road to the playoff. But that would be tough because everybody wants to see the Buckeyes in Indianapolis against the Hoosiers. Red versus red.
Texas has fought itself all the way back to number 10 here in the polls.
Pretty good for Texas.
Yeah. Rico, what do you make of the first college football playoff unveiling? And now you see BYU lost to Texas Tech. They're going out. Memphis lost, so they would not be the group of 5 anymore. What else stands out to you?
That you'll have one ACC team, and that's all the ACC really deserves is one team because it's a bad conference. And also, you know what? I think Texas A&M, I would have them ranked number 1. They played a tougher schedule.
All right. Well, they'll get a chance. They've got some tough games coming up, too, including one with Texas. We'll be right back, and we're going to look at the Lions up next.
It's the Press Pass on Fox 47. It's time for our Law of the Jungle segment, brought to you by Graywall Law. With more than 100 years of combined legal experience, Graywall Law, PLLC, delivers expert guidance and trusted advocacy. Their skilled team is committed to justice, offering compassionate, results-driven representation. That's Graywall Law, a great choice for professionalism, dedication, and proven success.
Goff on second down, over the middle, into the end zone. Touchdown, Jahmyr Gibbs. Goff on the slant to St. Brown. He is in for a Lions touchdown. From the Washington 14 on first down. Goff, Williams, he's been the main target during this series, and he is in for a Lions touchdown. Jamison Williams.
The second was commit to this running game between the tackles, which has opened up everything else. And Jahmyr Gibbs going for a touchdown.
Gibbs takes it all the way.
Jahmyr Gibbs making it look too easy. Now 5th on the NFL's all-time list of touchdowns before the age of 24. Rico, what did today's bounce back show after the Lions no-show at home against Minnesota?
It showed that amazing things happen when Dan Campbell actually calls the offense. And it's been, you know what, they could try to deny it tomorrow and say, no, it was a group effort. It wasn't. Jared Goff even said at the end of the game it was Dan Campbell. He had the glasses on. He had the clipboard. Right. Dan Campbell saw the offensive deficiencies, and all of a sudden things were running smoothly today.
Neil, when did you know what we were going to see? And very different from what we saw in Ford Field in January.
Well, I like to start right off the start when the Lions went down and scored on their first 3 drives, and they were playing with energy. But the play that I said, this is what the epitome of this game is when the pass to Jahmyr Gibbs, and he was running towards the end zone. And while he was near the end zone, you had St. Brown, you had Williams and Laporta all pushing him. That energy and that drive, I said, boy, this team's got it today compared to what they did last week.
5 touchdowns and 3 field goals on their 8 possessions before they knelt on the ball. And the only frustration would be if you were on the Lions punt team. Rico, do the Lions win next week at Philadelphia? And what other games could you see them dropping?
Well, if everybody at Philly stays healthy and it's a healthy Lions team, well, this current team, then I think that they will lose the game at Philadelphia. Jack, I also look at the Thanksgiving Day game with Green Bay. Okay. And the sneaky game that nobody's talking about is the 14th at LA against the Rams.
Yes. Well, they have a score to settle with the Packers, and that's going to be very handy. Although Green Bay with that tie kind of skews the division standings. You know, what do you make of the NFC North now? And we saw the Bears again. No one ever thought that Ben Johnson would have his team at 6-3.
And I thought the Bears run the way of losing today, and all of a sudden they turn it around and like these college games, won in the end. But I like the fact that the Packers and the Lions are pretty much the class, and they have a great game on Thanksgiving. But the Packers this week play the Eagles, so the Lions could take over first place. But it's going to go down to the last couple weeks of the season, I think, before this is settled. And the Lions have a great shot at it, but so do the Packers.
Rico, what surprised or impressed you about other games in the National Football League this week?
Shout out to the dead Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins just roll the Buffalo Bills at home. They fire Chris Greer. It looks like this team is over and done. And they come back and they just Buffalo was never in the game. And then I also got to give it to the Tennessee Titans. The Houston Texans. Thought the game was over, scored 26 points in the fourth quarter, won the game.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Dolphins that effective since Flipper. But I thought that Rams-Niners game was worth watching. Sorry, it didn't work out the way you wanted. But, hey, we also saw Neil's Browns go down today.
As usual.
Neil, looking at the latest Super Bowl odds, you see the teams that are most likely to win in Las Vegas. Where would you put your money?
I would put my money probably on the Lions and the Rams right now, and Eagles close. But I still wonder about the Bills and the Chiefs because they're up and down, and you just don't know. They'll probably be there.
Neil, put your money on the Chiefs.
You're still going with the
Trust me on this. Trust me.
Been there, done that, right? As long as Patrick Mahomes, as long as 15 is in uniform, that's what you're going to get. And, Chiefs are one of those teams, Rico, as you know, they play different when the calendar turns.
Correct.
It gets to January and suddenly all that experience and know-how comes through. And, maybe the NFC can get another win. Got one last year with Philadelphia over the Chiefs. So maybe it's time for the NFL or the NFC to start a little run. We'll be right back with our weekly awards up next here on Press Pass. Good to Press Pass on Fox 47. It's time for our Cool and Smooth segment brought to you by Coors Light. Cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish and a crisp, refreshing taste. Coors Light is the official light beer of Michigan State Athletics, so crack one open and take a sip. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Oh, it's a big mistake, and Emerson Sargent capitalizes! Sargent with the brace! And Michigan State is heading to the championship game on Sunday!
Talk about a gift goal. Just handed it to him, and Emily Sargent knew what to do with it. Her second goal of the Big Ten semifinal, an overtime goal, put Michigan State into the championship game today against top-seeded Washington. And teams battled throughout 90 minutes, throughout 2 overtime periods. And then in the shootout, it was Washington's time to shine, playing for former goaltender who had died of cancer, a very, very motivational scene. But Michigan State, a terrific effort, and actually had 11 straight shots on goal. In a soccer match, you don't see that very often, but coming home as Big Ten runners-up in St. Louis. Guys, before we get to the awards, I want to talk about a scandal here and what might rock Major League Baseball, Neil, with your Cleveland Guardians. What's the deal here with Emmanuel Clase? And he's not the only one who was involved in pitches that people can bet on, and they know what he's going to do with the ball. And he's facing a 20-year prison sentence.
Yeah, pretty serious, Jack. And I'll tell you, he goes from one of the greatest closers the Guardians have ever had and the best in the big leagues, and just messes up his career by doing this with gamblers just so they can make some money and he gets a take. I don't know. That's a really strange occurrence, and it's going to have consequences. And like we just joked earlier off camera, he's going to be pitching in a prison yard soon.
All right, gentlemen, who has been as cool and smooth as a Choose Chill Coors Light this week? Rico Beard, let's start with you in our play of the week. What do you have?
Jack, play of the week. Let's go to Happy Valley, and it's at the end of the game, 40 seconds left. Fernando Mendoza hits Omar Cooper for a touchdown where it looked like, did he get in? Did he not get in? The left foot misses, but the right foot touches.
Yeah.
And that was just spectacular. It has to be that play.
Yeah, and I love the positioning of the back judge there too. On it, looked like he was thinking he might get hit. He got out of the way, but his eyes were right on it. And replay said that he called it right. Neil Kepke, what about our team of the week?
Team of the week with kudos to Wisconsin's performance and obviously Indiana's comeback. I got to go with Michigan State's sweep of Penn State.
Yeah.
That has probably been one of the greatest weekends of Michigan State hockey in the last 15 years, Jack, because even if they swept Michigan, those games were here and in Yost. This was a 2-game series in one place, and they beat the number 3 team in the country with 2 exciting and great games.
Yeah. Guys, we saw Michigan State win the Big Ten Women's Gymnastics Championship in Jennison Fieldhouse. And then a couple hours later, win the Big Ten Hockey Championship on Patrick Geary's goal. But when you think about what they did yesterday, that's one of the best days on campus. There you see the 1-1 score at the end of regulation for the soccer championship. But to have that hockey sweep and then the basketball game in such short order, about as good as it gets for our players of the week. How about Cam Ward? Best game of his career. How about 18 points, leading all scorers, 10 rebounds off the bench? And how about Jonathan Taylor? Over in Germany, 286 yards and 3 touchdowns, including the game winner. Right now, I'd say Jonathan Taylor and Matthew Stafford might be the leaders for the MVP. I want to thank Rico Beard, 97.1 The Ticket, and my human hockey website, Neil Kepke. Have a great week, everyone.